So it always cracks me up because it's like on before I even know it. Now I've still got a little thing going across here going, yeah, we're going live. And then all of a sudden I see myself. And there we are. And welcome everybody to our Manual for Teachers study group here on ACIM Gather for Course in Miracles. And glad to see you all. Welcome everybody. Rico, I am so sorry about that mix-up. You know what? When you asked me about that the other day, I had completely forgotten. I remembered her telling me it's not going to be next week. It's going to be next week, but that was 2 weeks ago, and so this is how this mind is out of touch and out of time.
I hate to tell you, Lynn Johnson, but love is never having to say I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And it was really very lovely. And it was, I got to go in there for a while, and it was great to sit in love with all those lovely people. So, all right. So welcome everybody. We are in our Manual for Teachers study, and I'm going to put out my camera so I can actually see. Where am I? Oh, and this is another thing that confuses me because I'm seeing the YouTube and I'm seeing the screen here. So it's like I'm like I don't even know which is which. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is what I have to do. I have to close that. No, this is not right. Hang on. Hang on a minute. You don't want to see my mailing list. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now, what are you seeing on your screen?
Yes, you have it up. Good.
Okay. Okay.
23, manual 23.
Manual 23. Yep. And yay. Okay. This is cool. You know what? I just got this like total download about Jesus. So this is very cool that we're talking about, does Jesus have a special place in healing? And I know we started this last week. I don't really remember which paragraph we were on. I probably could look at the recording, but pretty sure we got through a couple of these paragraphs at least. But it wouldn't hurt us to read them again anyway, because we have some new people. So how about that? Let us begin again. So who would like to read paragraph 1, and we can chat if we want, and if everybody's complete with it, we can move on. So
I'll read it.
Great, thank you.
I'll read it, Lynn.
Thank you, my love.
Does Jesus have a special place in healing? God's gift can rarely be received directly. Even the most advanced of God's teachers will give way to temptation in this world. Excuse me for a sec. God's gifts can rarely be received directly. Even the most advanced of God's teachers will give way to temptation in this world. Would it be fair if their pupils were denied healing because of this? The Bible says, ask in the name of Jesus Christ. Is this merely an appeal to magic? A name does not heal, nor does an invocation call forth any special power. What does it mean to call on Jesus Christ? What does calling on his name confer? Why is the appeal to him part of healing? I'm so grateful we are rereading this, because this kind of theme has just been coming up for me in the last day or two, that even the most advanced of God's teachers will give way to temptation in this world. Would it be fair if their pupils were denied healing because of this? Because that's what I've been seeing, just in relation to where my perception of myself, my self-image of myself, and seeing myself as limited, by what God can do and the Holy Spirit can do in relation to healing me because of me not being perfect in my, because of me succumbing to temptation, because of perceptions, because of seeing illusions of circumstance. So this is a really beautiful reminder for me that it's only the ego that could see myself as limited because of the ego. Do you know what I mean? So this is good.
Yeah, that's lovely. That is lovely, Nicole, because yeah, it's me, right? I mean, we can't make a mistake, but because we think we can, we limit ourselves. We think that somehow or the other we can undo what God has done, and it's impossible. So
yes, like that quote, who can make a voice that can drown out God's?
yes, exactly.
Do you think you can make, that's it, do you think you can make a voice that can drown out God's? Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Brooklyn, please go ahead.
Namaste, mighty companions. When we call upon Jesus Christ, we call upon the Christ in ourselves that's all connected, that has all the power. I'd like to share something that happened. I always have things that happen. Yesterday, where I talk about temptation. I felt like I was punched in the gut. I have some I bonds, and I was thinking of cashing them, and they're for $2,000, and I know where I put them, and I couldn't find them. And right away I thought someone came in and robbed me when I wasn't there, and I was devastated. And then I thought, wait, I don't know what happened. I don't know what anything is for. And it took me a while. Well, my sister-in-law helped. I talked with her, and she made me realize there's more to life than money. And and then I realized if I couldn't, I gave thanks for this. I thought, what's more important? Like this is, I want God no matter what, even if my I bonds are stolen. And I made that decision. I want that over the grief. And I gave thanks to this happening, to see where I am. So I had my whole desk on the floor, all over my computer. I had the whole desk out. And I went to, the last envelope I opened, guess what I found? And I was there, oh, wow, and I know what I want. I know. Yeah. So I'm grateful for the lesson, and I'm grateful that no one came in when I wasn't here and robbed me. And I'm grateful that I found them too. But most of all, I'm grateful for the choice that I'm making in my life. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, that's like a cleaning out your closet episode. This time it was your desk.
Yeah, my desk is clean now.
Will this be the cleaning episode? Brooklyn is when I need to find something. That's how I do too. So that's I call it just in time management. I just, when I need it, I get it, and it's just in time. Otherwise, it can just sit in the drawer. Rico, please go ahead.
Good evening, family and friends. Welcome. Thank you for allowing me to be here with you. I send you love and light from my heart to yours. Always good to be here on Thursday with you. I just want to comment on my sister from another Mr. Brooklyn. thank God that you were, in your moment of doubt, you got to take a look at what is really meaningful in my life. I can't find what I'm looking for. I can't find what I think I really, really, really need. And you got a moment to pause and say, what is really important to me? And I thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate you, Lynn.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you, Rico. Karen, please. I'd love to hear what you.
Yeah, thank you, Rico. Thank you, Brooklyn. I love what you shared too, Brooklyn, because what it reminds me of is that no matter what's happening, I can still be at peace. And that is so important to me today. It really is. And that's a good demonstration of being at peace no matter what seeming problem is happening. With this, what came to me when I'm reading this, and I love this that we're reading again because something new always seems to come up. He says that even the most advanced of God's teacher will give way to temptation in this world. And he tells us in the manual, in the very first section, that a teacher of God is anyone who chooses to be one, and his soul, his qualifications consist solely in this. Somehow, somewhere, he has made a deliberate choice in which he did not see his interests as apart from someone else's. So that's the healing example, one of the healing examples that Jesus gave us. He didn't see anyone different. He says we're all the same. He saw everyone the same. Dove shared something earlier that if you want to love everyone, don't judge anyone. And that was the example that Jesus gave us. So if we're to see our brothers as the same and see the same interest, we're being like Jesus. And that is healing because, we're not judging, and judging, we're only judging ourselves. So we're letting go of the judgments of ourselves. We're seeing the truth of who we are, and we're reflecting it out on others. So, yeah, that's what came to me. So thanks.
Thank you, Karen, for that. Yeah, and the judge that what we're judging, what we're projecting, because the world we're looking at is a projection of our own thought system. So we're looking at our own thoughts and going, man, that's really crappy. I don't I don't like that. That should be better. That could be different. The whole time not even recognizing this is my own imagination that has made that up. Now, you can be saying, well, that, I don't imagine that Karen is there. I don't imagine my computer is here. You do. That's the only way you know about it. The only way you can know anything about anything you maybe think you're perceiving is because you have it in your mind. That's where it is. And we even when we touch things, where do we feel it? In our mind. We're not, it's everything we're experiencing is in our mind. So if I'm looking at it and I'm seeing crap, guess what? That's where do I need to clean up? I don't need to go out there and do anything because I can't affect it. I can affect it by thinking about it and seeing it differently. And that's what Jesus did. He saw his brothers differently. And by seeing his brothers as they truly are, he actually was able to see the face of Christ in everyone he saw. And so he remembered God and remembered himself as the Christ and recognized, that was what was the truth. And that's, he did it. So, I don't, and you can say a lot of stuff about a lot of different teachers, and I was a Buddhist for a long time, or at least followed, a form of Buddhism. And, I don't ever remember Buddha just directly saying, you are your brother and your brother is the Christ. And we are a uh, a transfigured, you can become a transfigured being. I mean, he alluded to things like that, but I mean, this is Jesus telling us right here, this is you, this is what you can be and are. And or any of the other prophets that you ever hear about, they have not given us this understanding that what it is that we're experiencing is our own mind in the world, apparently in the world. And so, and that's connecting to this, what we call a being called Jesus Christ. But it's not really a being, it's it's a focal point, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, does anybody else have any thought about that paragraph? I don't know if that made any sense. Yeah, Rafi.
I just wanted to mention that Lester Levinson made a point of that many times, of the oneness that we all are, and that there is no separation. The mistake that we made was that we thought we were a separate person and separate from the divine one, and that's not possible. But it's like somebody said the other day, well, everybody makes mistakes. Yeah. That's why they put erasers on pencils. You're going to correct a mistake, or you're just going to go with it and still think that you're a person instead of being, the oneness of being that we all are. And I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah. So yeah, we are the same person. We are this person, and if you're hearing a voice in your head right now, it's me, the person that we are. All right. Thank you, Rafi. Anybody else have any thoughts before we go on to paragraph 2? All right, who would like to read paragraph 2?
I'd be honored to take a stab at paragraph 2.
Thank you, sir.
Probably be a good idea if you unmuted yourself.
Oh,
No, Ralphie, I think that's a good idea. I have my eraser on my pencil. Let me take it off. We have repeatedly said that one who has perfectly accepted the atonement for himself can heal the world. Indeed, he has already done so. Temptation may recur to others, but never to this one. He has become the risen Son of God. He has overcome death because he has accepted life. He has recognized himself as God created him, and in so doing, he has recognized all living things as part of him. There is now no limit on his power because it is the power of God. So has his name become the name of God, for he has no longer ceased himself, become the name of God, for he no longer sees himself as separate from him. Wow. I'm trying to do that. But for me, it appears that he had never experienced, thought of, conceptualized, or even dreamed of being separate from God. And operating from that premise and the atonement deal, I guess to heal was pretty easy because it wasn't Jesus, the man who was doing the healing. It was the Son of God who was one with God. So that's as far as I'll go till I hear from one of you scholars. But it's pretty interesting.
yeah, that's pretty interesting. Thank you, Rico. Yeah. Yeah, because he was transfigured. That's what I mean, or he became something different when he recognized the Christ. And that's why he says, and you can do this too. And it's just as easy as shifting your perception from seeing from the judgment that you see, that is the judging of everything, and instead of judging it as being these separate different things, judge it as being the Holy Christ. And that's basically it. Once you begin to see everything as the Christ and everyone is the Christ, then there's no point to judge on anymore. It's all the same. And when it's all the same, there's nothing can stop you. There's you actually become associated with that holy thing, that thing. Yes, Karen, please.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And I'm hearing everyone talk about the separation. And that is what I keep hearing here, is that he has overcome death. And the Course says that death is a thought that we could be separate from our source. So he has overcome death because he has accepted life, because he remembered the truth of who he is as God created him. And he saw that he could see the truth in himself. He knew the truth in himself, so he could see the truth in others. And I love how he really does, as the role model. He talks about the role model throughout the Course, how he's our role model and how he teaches us to do the same. Like Lynn was saying, he says, be of good cheer. He said, I have overcome the world. You know, he said, you may have trials and tribulations in the world, but be of good cheer because I have overcome the world. And the way I look at that too is kind of what Lynn was talking about with our thoughts. He overcame the ego thought system. You know, he saw that it wasn't the truth. The ego thought system is not the truth. It's not real. And he saw through that and he just remembered the truth. And that's what he's reminding us to do. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Karen. Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what he's reminding us to do. Anybody else have any thoughts about this?
Yeah, let me jump in here and double dip for a quick second. Thank you, Karen, for sharing. When Karen shared, I just saw a flash of me on the freeway here, where he talks about, let's see, he has now recognized himself as God created him. So that's his alignment, and he operates from that premise. And in so doing, he has now recognized all living things are part of him, as Karen said. And I have little moments of having that kind of connection here and there, mostly when I'm in your presence. But as soon as somebody cuts me off in the freeway, that Rico character shows up. So I need to like really practice in being not just that centered, but that aligned. And if I keep hanging on with you guys, I believe one day that'll happen. Martin said he has a dream. I got one too, to be like you.
You are like us. You are us. There's no difference. Oh my gosh. But you know what? When we forget like certain parts of everything, that's why we come together, because my whole memory is not here without you. So when we join together, we remember it. And without Rico, we're not whole. Brooklyn, please go ahead. You are muted.
Wow, this is wonderful. My brother from another mother, Rika. I felt so good about myself when even before I found the I bonds I thought were robbed or what happened. I forgot I put them in a different envelope because I need to cash them. So I was so grateful to be able to make the choice of using this as an opportunity to say, well, thank you for this opportunity. And, I don't know what anything is for. And yeah, James Twyman, I love his 3 words, no matter what. No matter what. Yeah. Thank you.
No matter what. Thank you, Brooklyn. Anybody else have any thoughts about this?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. I was writing, you mentioned the transfiguration when he was on the earth. And even before that, he knew that it was the Father within himself or within his mindset already that was, and he even claimed, like, why do you call me good when it's the Father within me that does the works? And I think that's kind of the same thing that this paragraph might implicate, kind of too, that he, that makes him, realizing that he is one with his Father, but also kind of disclaiming his body also when he says, why call me good? It's only the Father within me. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, that's what came up for me.
Thank you, Cindy. Yes, and that's it exactly. He was a man just like us. He was a human being. He lived his life. He had family. He worked for his father probably in the carpenter business. I don't know. Although it's whatever it was he did, he lived, had a family, saw all the things that people see, and he himself came to an understanding or a conclusion about what he was and his relationship with God. It wasn't like he was born special, like a lot of people say, well, he was born without all that. No, he says very clearly in the course, I was a man, and this happened. And you can try to figure out when in his life it happened. Some people think it happened before the crucifixion, when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane or any of that. But actually, he was doing all his miraculous things long before that. After he
Yeah.
came back from the desert, he was he got baptized, and then he went to the desert. And when he came back, he was transfigured. He was realized, and he went about doing miracles, turning water into wine and doing all kind of stuff. So, but it was, and he does say in the course, it took great effort and willingness for
And
me.
then he finally just decided to listen to the voice of God
Yeah.
only.
Yeah.
That always stuck with me when I read that.
Hear that one voice. That was it.
Yeah. But he said that's the only difference between us and him is he chose to hear only the voice for God.
That's right. That's
Just
right. Absolutely. Rafi, please go ahead, and then Glorian has her hand up also.
Yeah, as far as my reckoning is, it started with Jesus when he was 12. He was in the temple talking to all the rabbis and all of these sages and all these intelligent older men, and they came to get him. And they, what are you doing? And he said, "You see, I must be about my Father's business." So he already, he was actually born into this dream with that, but it already had started taking hold by the time he was 12.
Right. And I think it's because his family were the mystical Jews, the Essenes, and they had a deeper understanding of things than like your normal average Jewish people, because John and all those guys were those Essene people, and so he was raised up with it, that mystical thought. Glorian, please go ahead. And thank you for that, Rafi.
Yeah, what was coming to me here, we have repeatedly said that one who has perfectly accepted the atonement or the undoing of fear for himself can heal the world, because if you accept the full atonement for yourself, complete forgiveness, there's no more projection. So there is no world. That's how the world is healed. There's nothing, because we're projecting from our minds the unhealed guilt. Indeed, he has already done so, because this has all already been done, and we're just reviewing this in our minds. Temptation may recur to others, but never to this one, because he's complete and whole as the Christ. He has become the risen Son of God, the light. He has overcome death listening to that fearful voice of the ego, because he has accepted life, his salvation coming from his acceptance of the Christ. He has recognized himself as God created him, love. And in doing so, he has recognized all living things as part of him. Because if he recognizes himself as love, that's his projection. So that's all he sees. There is now no limit on his power because he's part of creation. Love is creation, because it is the power of God. So has his name become the name of God? For he no longer sees himself as separate from him. So he's just returned into the oneness without any projection and just whole and complete in the Christ. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. And I mean, it's like that lesson, the name of God is my inheritance. You know, that is really talking about, as you said, when you are whole, that means that nothing is lacking. When nothing is lacking, there's nothing to tempt you. There's when you have everything and you need nothing and you don't recognize any separation from yourself and everything and God, you don't need anything. So there is no temptation involved at all. From that point of view, it's impossible. And if you are still tempted, it's because you feel like you're missing something. Please, Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Gloria, and thank you, Lynn. And Lynn, this reminds me of the poem that you read. Please call me by my name, by my true name, when he says that he has recognized himself as God created him, and in doing so, he has recognized all living things as part of him. And you know, that really moved me, that poem that you read. And I never heard that poem before you read it. And it really, really moves me. And it reminds me of where he says, oh, the whole thing, but the part that's coming to my mind is that I am the 12-year-old girl, refugee on a small boat, who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And I am also the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. So being able to see that there is no separation from the sea pirate and the little girl who was raped is Christ's vision. And I had an experience of that recently at a restaurant, and the restaurant had gotten robbed, and a couple of the friends that I was with were, you know, kind of feeling sorry for the owner, and, you know, how he was a victim, you know, that the owner was basically a victim of being robbed. And I basically, you know, I could understand exactly where she was coming from, but I also went to the person who actually robbed. Well, you know, that person is just as much a son of God as the owner of the restaurant. And they're both as deserving of love as the other. There's no separation. There's no difference. It's either love or a call for love. And I could see that love or a call for love, because we don't know what anything's for. We don't know what happened, why he robbed that place. His child may have been hungry. I mean, I'm making up stories. We don't know. We can't judge anything, you know. It reminds me of the story that Dove shared. I think it was you, Dove, that shared that story of that guy who got robbed by he got robbed, and the guy that robbed him, actually, he knew the guy from seeing him on the streets and with his son. And he said, "You look familiar." He said, are you hungry? Do you need food for your son? You know, is that why you're robbing me? Yes. And he said, yes. And he started crying. And the guy said, "Here's $100, go feed your family and come back in a week." And he came back in a week, and he gave him a job, you know? So we can't judge anything. We don't know what anything's for, because, you know, we just have to trust that everything's working perfectly for everyone's greatest good. And that's the way Jesus saw, and that's this special place in healing for all of us to remember that we can't judge anything or anyone. And that's really it. So that's seeing the same interests. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Karen. Yeah, it's either love or a call for love. And what now you just reminded me of a story that came to me and something you've experienced on Pal Talk. Sometimes guys will come into Pal Talk and put on their camera, and then they'll start doing things that nobody wants to see on a camera, on anything at all. And it used to irritate me so much. I would just get so PO'd about it. And of course, I have to go and block them and ban them and all this kind of stuff and report to Pal Talk why this is happening or what's upsetting and all that kind of stuff. And and one day it came to me, well, Lynn, it's either love or a call for love. And and it could be that this person has such an expression of love that they want us to see their goods, or it could be that they're calling for love and they want us to like their goods or whatever. But it can't be anything else. And when I realized that, I'm like, okay, well, it's a call for love. Bounce a man, you can look for it somewhere else, because it's not coming from me, from this place. We're not appreciating that. But it's so funny. You can add that to anything and see that that's exactly what it is. So this coming to recognize that, it's a simple formula, and it's all or nothing with this stuff. You can't make excuses and say, well, yeah, in this case it's this or that. You don't know what it is. It's all a bunch of BS, because it's all an illusion. So really all we have to do is recognize that and look for the love and be ready with our kind of love too, because I love you enough not to let you do that in front of me anyway, or anybody else that I care about. All right. Anything else on paragraph 2? Does anybody have? Did I get too risque with my example?
Not at all. I'll read if I could.
Okay, great. Paragraph 3.
What does this mean for you? It means that in remembering Jesus, you are remembering God. The whole sonship of the Son to the Father lies in him. His part in the sonship is also yours, and his completed learning guarantees your own success. Is he still available for help? What did he say about this? Remember his promises and ask yourself honestly whether it is likely that he will fail to keep them. Can God fail his Son? And can one who is one with God, be unlike him? Who transcends the body has transcended limitation. Would the greatest teacher be unavailable to those who follow him? This is really just, I don't know. I don't even know how to comment on it, because it's it's just touching me so deeply. It just puts it out there like, why would I doubt? Why, or why would I forget, or why would I be tempted? And that's just what came up for me. It made me when, no, he, the answer to all those questions, no, he would not make himself unavailable. Of course not. That's how much he loves me. And I don't know, I just really hit it. my heartstring here. I just feel very, I don't even know how to explain it. I just feel the love. Anyway, that's, actually, I read this before I came into the group and I was crying through the whole thing. I don't know why this whole little section just really opened up my heart. And anyway, that's all I have to say.
God bless you. Thank you, Cindy. Oh my goodness. You're so beautiful. And I just, yeah, this is heart-opening stuff because, you know, I think we go into this stuff with a lot of ideas about hoping. I hope that things are going to be better. I hope that I'm going to get this. I hope this and that. And he's saying, you know, quit hoping. It's here. It's guaranteed. You don't have to be you don't have to worry and wonder, am I going to be here for you? I am here for you 100% all the time, anytime. Call on me. I'm here, you know, because he's all things. God is all things. And to think that God is small and that that we have to take little bits and pieces because of the smallness of our God is just showing the smallness of our own ego. God is beyond our capability of understanding in this small little mind. So, you know, we can think that he's going to be small in his answer, but he's not. He's given us everything. And when you come to experience this, you see that it couldn't be anything else. Rico, please, I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Love sitting here listening to you guys. I just wanted to share a quick little pee with you guys. You guys like my spiritual teachers and my spiritual family. And I just want to share something that really resonates with me. One of the things I've liked about this manual, as you guys are going through this thing and being patient with me, is when they ask, what does this mean for you? And that really helps people like me open my mind up. We have a prayer in the 12-step program called a set-aside prayer. And this helps me set aside everything I think I know so I can have an open mind and a new experience with this paragraph we're reading. And every time this says, what does this mean? I like turn into an empty shell and I try to feel, what is this really saying? And that has really helped me along the way since I joined you guys. So I guess in Ebonics, I'm trying to say each and every one of you, thank you, and I love you.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. I love you too. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is the whole point. I mean, if it doesn't mean anything to me, then I'm gonna just read it and think it applies to somebody else. But seriously, this applies to us, all of us. And it's so beautiful. Does anybody else have any thoughts about this that they'd like to share? All right, let's take a look, see if there's anything. Oh, Nicole, please go ahead, my love.
Oh, I'm shedding some tears here. I'm just, oh my goodness. That last paragraph where it describes Jesus and his like, and there was a message that came up, right? Which was, bless the one, Karen posted, bless the one who cuts you off on the freeway. And oh my God, think about it, the freeway. And us talking about differences between Jesus's upbringing, you know, because I've been looking at like realizing and looking at my homeschooling, because even though I went to a normal school like other kids, we're homeschooled as children. We're homeschooled by our parents. And I've been uncovering and looking at these edges, you know, my beliefs around the world and my beliefs around the body and my beliefs around all these things. And this homeschooling I received wasn't the ACIM homeschooling. These illusions of obstacles to my peace projected outwards. These illusions of all these things which cut me off from the freeway, from being as God created me to be. Right. And it's just like this whole layer, like the onion, you know, layers, this whole awareness suddenly of all this forgiveness that I need to do, all these areas where I've been projecting these obstacles or people cutting me off from the freeway throughout my life, starting with as a child, the homeschooling I received from my parents, and you know, all kinds of manner of things. So I'm like, wow. And that second paragraph back there, I really want to look at that, because like, I mean, I've experienced my revelation of oneness with God. I've experienced this, but have I extended this to all my projections? No. It's like I'm not living it, because I'm still holding grievance. I'm still holding all these illusions of obstacles to me being like the demonstration that Jesus is for us. And you know, including all that stuff, my upbringing, all those beliefs, which, you know, like a lot of things we don't realize are beliefs. And that's why I've been looking at this homeschooling, because it's not a world. That world, as everyone's been saying here so beautifully today, is just a projection of our mind. It's a projection of where we're not yet assuming responsibility, and where we're still seeing obstacles appearing outside of ourselves and challenges and whatever else, where we're seeing ourselves being cut off on the freeway. You see, the freeway, as God created it. The world is all that God created. There's the freeway right there, the freeway. So how best is to accepting the atonement perfectly, include all these things, you know. I'm just, oh wow, I love coming in here each week. It's just sets this beautiful context for me. It just works in such perfect harmony and sync with you know, what's coming on, what's coming up for me in relation to accepting the atonement, which has been an ongoing thing. And it's just becoming more and more aware that these are my projections, and these are things that need to be brought onto the altar of my heart. And like what I was saying at the beginning about this realization this week about so many things, I think these aren't what I want, these projections, this isn't what I want. And yet, how many times do I want to be right? Do I want to be right? And when I want to be right, and so I see these illusions of circumstance as if they're a real thing, but that's just the power of God working through me. I'm wanting to be right, and the Holy Spirit or God is going, okay, then, Holy Son of God, you want to be right? And boom, whammo, here I've got my illusion of circumstance. You see? So it always working together here. So yeah, wow, one tiny little Karen, thank you so much for following that little instinct to write that little bless the one who cut you off on the freeway, because isn't it amazing how it all works? Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Nicole. And so beautiful. And you were echoing what Brooklyn was saying about what is it that I really want here? What do I really want? this is the question, the only question you should be asking. What do I really want? Because it's soon evident by what you get.
Yeah. Do I want to be right, or do I want to be like
There you
him?
go.
Do I want to be happy? Do I want to be like him? Do I want to accept things as God's will for me? Or do I want to be right about, anyway.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Nicole. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Nicole. And I love the analogy that you use with the freeway, and it reminds me of in the course where he talks about in chapter 8, section 4, the gift of freedom. And the gift of freedom, well, freedom is being free, is freeing our mind from all the imprisoned thoughts, and all the grievances and all those things that you just talked about. That's freedom, right? But he says that freedom cannot be learned by tyranny of any kind. And we are doing this to ourselves. We're tyrannizing ourselves. We tyrannize ourselves. We hold grievances and we think we're hurting our brother, but we're only hurting ourselves. And the only thing we need to forgive is the grievance. There's nothing else to forgive. There's nothing to forgive my brother for. It's my grievance against him that I need to forgive because I made that up. Whatever's happening is happening for me, for my awakening. And this section here is exactly what he says when he says, is he still available for help? Is Jesus still available for help? Yes, this is what he's for. And for me, I choose to say Holy Spirit, but Jesus, Holy Spirit, higher self, whatever you choose, this is who we ask for help for the grievances and for well, I guess I could call it something that I just haven't healed in my mind, that I'm still from childhood, whether it's homeschooling or something else that's still not healed in my mind, asking for help. And it's always asking for help to see this differently because of myself, I can't do it, so that's where is he still available for help comes from for me, is the healing occurs right now in this moment. It doesn't matter when it happened, doesn't matter what happened. And that's what I love. What I've learned in this course is that there's no time. There is no time. Everything's happening right now, because I was devastated after my husband's suicide and never thought I could be forgiven because I felt so guilty. But then I learned that I'm forgiven. I'm already forgiven, number one, but I can heal now. It doesn't matter that the person's not there. It doesn't matter how long ago something happened. We can heal now. Healing occurs now. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. That's beautiful. And yeah, now meaning that we can heal retroactively as well as proactively. We can, the Holy Spirit will heal the whole thread. It's like when you go to pull a weed out of your garden and you pull it out and then the next week it comes back and it keeps coming back until you dig. And sometimes I've dug down and gotten like down 4 feet before I found the bottom of that root. And that's what happens. The Holy Spirit's gonna take the whole thing out, and you're not gonna have to deal with the weed coming back at all. But you have to let it be dug out. You can't just you have to really work. You can't just expect that it's going to go away without your participation in not making it a thing anymore, letting it be what it is. Nicole, please go ahead.
Wow, I just had this, it says here, who transcends the body has transcended limitation. And I just had this realization. It's like the body. Jesus transcending the body. What was he able to do once he transcended the body, right? We think, oh, we're talking illusion of a separate body, the body of one, the Son, the Christ, the body, the body, the body. The body transcended the body, can now turn water into wine, can now heal anyone because he does not see them as separate from himself. That body is, we call this, do you hear me? I just had this whoa moment of vision, of Christ's vision, and like in that second paragraph again, in the context of that, where he says he has realized and recognized that all this is part of himself, yeah, and he has recognized himself as God created him, and in so doing he's recognized all living things as part of him, transcended the body, you see, the body. Not this.
Bingo, 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 bingo. That's it, exactly. This is not, we're not here so we can have a happier life. We're here to recognize the truth of who we are and transcend this whole thing. And yes, then water, wine, who cares? Whatever, nothing, because we are unlimited. We become unlimited. And this is, I mean, I'm not here for the cheap stuff. I want the whole thing. I want this experience and to know myself as the Christ and to know you all as the Christ. So yes, bingo, bingo. That's it, Nicole. You got it, babe. Brooklyn, please go ahead.
You know, when I couldn't find what I was looking for, it felt like someone punched me in the gut. But then I remembered, or Holy Spirit reminded me, everything happens for my benefit. I chose the long term over the short term. Yeah.
The reality over the story.
Mhm.
The absolute knowing that it's here where I put it, just like everything else. It's all here where we put it. Oh my gosh. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share? I'm going to close down the sharing so we can see each other because our time is up. But wow, wow, wow. What a wonderful evening, you guys. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to share?
Look at all these beautiful faces.
Oh, we're so blessed.
Can I say something?
Yes,
This needs to be, I think this should be longer. I really do, for 2 hours, or at least do another day a week. This is just too profound for me. It's just too wonderful. I'm going this slow through the book. I'm learning so much, and it's like, anyway, I just propose that. Think about it, maybe.
well, we have a group on Saturday morning and we have a group on Monday and Tuesday, but we're not doing exactly this, but people can have groups if they want them. I don't have to be in everyone. You guys can have a group if you want. Anybody else who wants
I actually agree, because this is I would love if we had 2 days a week doing what we're doing on the back of what we're doing here in this particular group. That would just be awesome. I don't know whether that's possible, but I personally would absolutely love that. That would be wonderful. So I don't know if people are available though. That's right. That's all. So,
Or even extend this meeting for 2 hours. I don't know.
Or
Anyway,
an hour and a half and see how it goes.
Yeah, hour and a half. I think that's good. Hour and a half.
Yeah,
Well,
was
you know,
thinking
when
that-
we first started doing this, like several years ago, and the first group that we did, we had Vicky and Teddy and Lee Catalano. There was a bunch of people in that group. We were doing it for 90 minutes, I think, weren't we? And then, so yeah, we could do that.
the
We
format
could do
is
from 7 to 8:30.
Okay, from 7 to 8:30.
That
Well,
would be
that's
awesome. I would love that. That would be so cool. And also, we might actually get through some of the sections occasionally. Not that we need to, because it's always perfect. But yeah,
so. Are we saying we want to start a half an hour earlier? Is that
Lynn,
30 minutes
Lynn,
early?
tonight I was sick and I didn't go to that thing, the woman that asked us
Right.
to come on. Is it going to be every week? Because I missed it tonight.
Oh, no, it's just a thing that they do. It's like a special, like,
So it won't be next
Sure.
Thursday?
no, it's
Oh,
only,
I'm sorry, I missed it. I really liked her a lot. She was sweet.
oh, yeah, it was beautiful too. We were there for a little while. But okay, so are we saying we want to start a half an hour earlier? Do I?
Or you can go from 4:30 to 6 Pacific Coast time. You can do it that way too.
Yeah, which would be better for y'all? Or
it's the same for me.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the same for me.
Either
So
way.
depending on the rest of you, let the rest of you decide.
Yeah, it's up to
'cause
you, Lynn. You're doing it, so you
Yeah,
make
I'm
it.
just grateful to be part of it.
Yeah.
However,
Rafi, I listened to your poems. All your poems blew me away, by the way. I just have to tell
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
They were absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I was listening and thinking, my God, this is all coming from within. It's so beautiful.
I think for- I
think for is there- Rafi-
one vote.
Is there anyone here? Is there anyone who needs it to be one way or the other in regards to
Yeah.
they have something
gonna go
else
ahead.
on?
I-
Stop the
me-
live stream because we don't need to be, we